This is the guide that, as Martina said, has been sort of the fruit of our labours, but very much also the fruit of the labours of a very large community, both in the UK and beyond, discussing issues around decolonisation, not just of the business school curriculum, but far more broadly. However, we did feel it was very important for the business school community, largely because, well, we're a very large community in the UK and beyond. We have very international staff, very international students, and to some extent, perhaps decolonisation can be associated more with perhaps humanities or other subjects rather than business, when really we feel business is an area where we should really consider decolonising and should start these considerations, I think, in different disciplines and within school structures. And those considerations really led us to promote the idea of a guide that very much is intended to follow the BAM spirit. That is, that we aim to be very inclusive, that we aim to communicate to our membership. And as Martina said, it is our first draft. We look forward to your comments, and we have definitely a lot of time for question, answers, and further discussion with you as the audience and also with our panelists going forward. So the guide really is very much intended to serve as an introduction. So we're really trying to open up this debate for the largest number of people, for our members, for people beyond our membership, to really, to some extent, allow people to engage with a discussion, that you may have some people are far more engaged than elsewhere. So we start with key points and basic principles, largely to ensure that everybody has a chance to sort of understand the language surrounding decolonisation, the different approaches to decolonisation, so it's not like this is in any way definitive. And we also want to answer some questions around why decolonising the curriculum is important in our view and why it's important for business schools. So the guide goes into detail here. Obviously, through Martina's leadership, this is very much part of our equality, diversity, inclusivity and respect agenda. So for us, that's very much an entry point, again, not the only one. My role at BAM is for research and publications. So research and publication, similarly, we have discussions around decolonisation. Our guide here perhaps focuses a bit more on the curriculum, as you can see from the later sections. We also try to sort of engage with the question of what happens beyond faculty, and also what are the current debates around decolonisation and the pros and cons. So the guide really tries to open up a broader debate to you, whether you are very knowledgeable, in which case, this might just be an interesting place to look. And if you're not so knowledgeable, hopefully for you to be able to join these debates, which we believe are very important. Now, why is decolonising the curriculum important? So we also try to really touch here on some of the major debates that exist, and the fact that the business school environment perhaps hasn't always been the place where a lot of these debates have happened, either in the literature or in some business schools. For us, it's really important to be clear on why we think business schools in decolonising the curriculum is immensely important, because we have so many students enrolled. It is such an international environment, and so is our staff. And clearly, when we're looking at issues of decolonising, the role of business in wider political structures has always been important and remains very important, and doesn't tend to feature so much in business school education. Now, people and students vary, whether we look at staff or at the students, vary whether they're willing to engage in these discussions. So the guide is intended to offer opportunities to have these discussions and explore this, rather than prescriptively telling you what ought to be featuring in your programs or your modules. We've been trying to think around our BAM audience, about the wider audience, and the fact that we believe that decolonisation is something that is really important for us to have an awareness of, to have a decision, perhaps as people teaching, as people engaging with students, how we want to engage with it, and to understand this debate. So we're really trying to take a very open-minded approach, explaining as well as introducing and giving further resources on the decolonisation debate in the UK. And again, as I said before, a lot of it is trying to focus on practical ways, tested approaches, how you can start engaging with the decolonisation debate, get input from your students and from your colleagues.